media has a special role to play in the forming of public opinion. Here at MPC, I'm talking to the media, but allow me to be frank. At least this is my feeling, how I feel about it since I came here about 6 months ago, 7 months ago. That here in this country, the media coverage on China are mostly not positive, or to be straightforward, are mostly negative. It is simply difficult to find out news about China that is positive. We do have, but it's pretty low, disproportionately low. No country is perfect. No country is perfect. However, a coverage on a country that is always in a negative perspective is nowhere near to telling the truth about that country. That's how I feel about it. And the coverage on China of such kind is, on many occasions, many times, misleading. It's also harming the friendship between our two peoples.
Ambassador Chris Yorman, 9 News. I was interested in your comments on respect for international law and also that we needed to have positive policies and your guidance for the media in Australia about being positive towards China. If I could just make a couple of observations about why people might have a negative view. You've occupied and militarised the South China Sea in contravention of international law. Recently, you threatened an Australian Air Force aircraft flying over those waters under rights under international law. You've imprisoned our citizens without rights to national justice. You have launched thousands of attacks against private and public sector through cyber. You've interfered in our politics, our universities and our diaspora and the people that you call the 1.2 million overseas Chinese. Many of them we would call Australian citizens who owe a right, a duty to Australia. So can you see why it might be that some Australians would think that when you talk about international law and positive policies, you do not do what you say? Well,
is it a statement? You have no question?
No, I made some observations given you thought we were...
So you are making observations. You are making statements.
I'm making some observations. You were talking about reporting, so I was wondering why you might think that people would not see those things as being negative policies.
Well, are you inviting me to comment on your observations?
I'm inviting you to comment on whether or not you're occupying and militarising the South China Sea in contravention of international law and whether or not you threatened Australian aircraft in that airspace.
Okay, I'll try to be brief because you covered quite a number of issues. First on the South China Sea, China and several other countries, we are all claimants of certain areas and territories in South China Sea. And China, we inherited this claim from our previous government, and who's now in Taiwan, the so-called Republic of China. And there's no room for the people of the Republic of China to deviate from our claim, and we'll continue to stick to the position to protect our sovereignty and territorial integrity. But at the same time, I understand there are differences, there are disputes between China and some other countries. So China and the relevant claimant countries are involved in discussions, consultations, even negotiations bilaterally. And multilaterally, we are involved with ASEAN countries in formulating code of conduct, declaration, DOC, declaration of conduct. Now in the process of formulating a COC, code of conduct, trying to sort out a framework for addressing such issues in the future. Secondly, about the existence of China in these areas and the military existence, it is the necessary measures we have to take to protect the security of the areas which belong to us, and as has been done by many other claimants as well. They have done that much earlier. Thirdly, you mentioned about the aircraft incident, about between China and Australia. May I point out that that incident was very unfortunate. It happened not in the South China Sea in general. There's a too big area. You cannot say that it happened in the earth. It's happened at a particular location. That location is within the territorial space of an island that belongs to China. So it's just like you're in your house, within your compound. Somebody is driving around, carrying a gun, and trying to peep into your window, see what you're doing in your family and what you're talking about between your family members. You feel a bit threatened, and you feel uncomfortable. So you have to come out and tell those people to keep distance at least.
Under international
so that's
law,
the point I want to make.
Neighbour's house. And
then about the Chinese Australians, I want to say a few words on this because it's so sensitive. There are 1.2 billion Chinese Australians, and these are naturalized Australians. They are Australian citizens. They are loyal to Australia. They are not loyal to China. But at the same time, they came from China. Their ancestors, they have blood relation with China. So they are a linkage of friendship and cooperation between our two countries. And you have to, if you watch very carefully, my embassy is very careful. Ever since I came here 7 months ago, I never comment on the Chinese-Australian issue. During the federal election, I didn't make any comment. Even when I met some of the Chinese Australians, I never talked about the elections. It's their domestic affairs. It's for the Australian people, including Chinese Australians, to make their own choices. At the same time, I want to emphasize this here. Australia is a diversified nation. People from different parts of the world come into this country. They form the community, a nation called Australian people. And Chinese people are part of those people. They are making contribution to this great country. Their interests, just like many other ethnic groups in this country, should be respected.
And how are we to take your condemnation of Australian media seriously, given the quashing of dissidents and disinformation around in China?
These issues. Thank you.
And on the media in China?
Uh-huh.
The media in China, how you criticise the Australian media for not giving China enough positive attention. Is China cracking down on media in its home country?
I don't quite catch the point you're making, man. I mean, yeah, the media in China are also being affected on attitudes towards Australia when they know that there's a very positive attitudes in this country about China, which is very unfortunate, and it's not necessary. We might have different views on many issues between China and Australia, but there's so many things we have in common, and we can cooperate. And